Hello, how is everyone today? I had a little thing that I had to get off my chest earlier, a few minutes ago. Now that I've done that and have put my laundry in the laundry, and I have a half hour I can spend with you talking about pens, maybe, for those of you that are interested in pens. Do I need more paper? I'm running out of scribble stuff on here. Here we have two skylines. I have another one, three skylines. Here are three identical pens. Well, hardly identical. Here are three Skyline pens. Skylines were a popular pen made by the Eversharp company in the 40s. And as you can see, there are some differences. You can see, first of all, that they came in two sizes. They actually came in four, but the two most common sizes are this one and that one. I don't know whether they had a different name for one and the other. They may have. One could have been called this one. You can either buy this one or that one. They're both swell. I imagine one might have been called long and the other one short, or shorter, or demi, or the Skyline et. I just, these sorts of factoids you can find, and I'm sure Todd Merrill, when he shows up, will correct me. He'll tell me exactly what it is that the two sizes are called. Maybe one was $1 cheaper than the other. They did come up. They came with plastic caps rather than metal caps. They came with plastic derbies or metal derbies. Sometimes you see a metal derby on a plastic cap. It would have a big wide band here that had a name. Maybe that was called t'other, this, that, and t'other. Now they did have different model names, but I don't know what they are. This one has horizontal, longitudinal lines. There were some that had long lines, latitudinal lines coming down. Some had a little pattern. This is called the dart pattern, I think. Todd Merrill will correct me on that. I think they only had the three patterns: dart, vertical stripes, horizontal stripes. They also had a smooth one, which I guess is a smooth one a pattern or not. It's a model type, but whether it's a pattern, I don't know. Does a plain shirt like this one, does this have a pattern? I think when they don't have a repeating element, I think the word pattern doesn't apply. But the most important part of why these are different from each other is not because of these things. This, that, and t'other. Yeah, I think that's the right. You can get it either in this, that, or t'other. So this nib, let's talk about the nibs. That's what I am into. I'm into what happens not from here up, but what happens from here out. This is my specialty, and I don't know if I have any sophisticated knowledge. I think I have sophisticated knowledge about what it's like. I don't know if I have a sophisticated vocabulary to describe it, and I certainly don't have the sophisticated knowledge of metallurgy and things like that to describe why one nib is flexible and the other one isn't. I mean, I know certain things. This one has a short slit and a breather hole here, whereas the t'other one here has a longer slit. So this one, by looking at them, I would presume that this one will provide a flexible line where this one would provide a firmer line. That's not always the case, but most of the time it is the case. But the flexibility is a measurable attribute to the line that is made. You can make it, here's the thinnest unpressured is here. The thinnest with some pressure is here. The thickest with pressure is here. And you can measure that with your micrometer. You can figure all of that out if you have to. You can get out your device and you can, do whatever you need to do with this thing, and you can come up with numbers. That's easy. The harder thing is sort of to sense and feel, maybe feel, even if you don't know how to describe it, to feel the difference between the pressure that you need to apply to make the line thicker. And some pens, nibs, let's say you apply equally, you add more and more and more pressure to the nib, and let's say they both start at this number. Let's say all three of these start at this number, and they all get to be equally this thick at its thickest point. Some pens go like that. The equal pressure provides, I mean, this is easy to understand and to see and to control. Some of them do this. There's the curve is slightly different. You have to apply a little bit more pressure at the beginning of the line, and it will get to here. And then at this point, after this point right here, it breaks. Or it doesn't necessarily break, but it gets wide and it doesn't get small again. And there's other ones that maybe start off really, really loosey-goosey, and the tines open up really, really easy. And there's a point at which it probably would go like this, because if it starts out so easy, it's probably very easy to break the pen, because it doesn't have any resistance. It's not telling you to slow down or to ease up. So I have someone joining me, Juicy Louise. Is that right? From England. I don't know, maybe Juicy Louise is no longer here. Morning all from England is what Louise said. Okay, so there's that's the difference between this, that, and t'other. Certainly, another thing you feel with your hand and feel with your soul, we'll say. Okay, Louise, would you like to join me? Talk live. You can have the camera pointing to the ceiling if you want to talk live. Another thing you can feel is the weight of the pen. Certainly this pen with the metal cap weighs more than a plastic pen by, this much or whatever. I don't have a balance with me to tell what the difference is, but certainly a weight of a pen will have some sort of an effect on you, whether it's something you understand or not, it will have an effect. A shorter pen weighs less than a longer pen, all things being equal. But a shorter pen is shorter when it's posted like this by quite a bit. When they're capped, they're not. It's not as different. But the shorter pen when it's posted is quite a bit shorter. So the whole thing sort of fits in the palm of your hand. It doesn't, stick way out here like this. And I find shorter pens make me feel more connected maybe with the paper. Oh, that's okay. So Louise, is your name Louise? On your birth certificate, does it say Louise or does it say Juicy or some other number, letter, word, name? So I sometimes like having a pen that's short like this, and it just makes my paw, my front leg here, connect more with the pen, and I feel like the pen is a part of me. If it's a long pen like this that's way over here, I'm maybe more aware of the pen than I am of the line it makes. Louise. Okay, Louise. Okay. If I had my Maurice Chevalier boater on, I would sing the Louise song to make you feel at home. Louise. Yeah, I find modern pens, a modern pen I just am looking for. I have a Mont Blanc somewhere, a big Meisterstück Mont Blanc, and they are just so clunky compared to vintage pens. There are some vintage pens that are very clunky, but they were not the standard. The standard pen size, this was sort of about it. Could be a little bit longer, a little fatter, a little thinner, but they were, I think, designed to mimic the dip pens that were manufactured at the time, and your hand was used to that. I know that when we're kids, we're often given big fat pencils to learn how to write the letters of the alphabet, at least in American schools. And I think maybe it was easier for children to learn how to hold a big fat pencil than a skinny one, which seems counterintuitive, but I think that I'm sure there's some sort of logic to it that I don't understand. Mont Blanc 22. I don't know what that is, but I will look it up when I'm done. But for me, there's so many different factors that make me write differently. I have no spinal cord, no willpower of my own, almost, with sometimes with pens. And so there's the length of a pen, sort of where the balance is. And then there's the thickness. And there's the weight. Now I know there's, and I suppose also with balance, there's dividing that up. if there's the same material is used throughout, the balance might be more easy to understand. But if there's a heavy part that's now on the back, that's going to, make the pen want to fall off that way of the balance that you might imagine it has. So there's that factor, thickness, weight. Then there's all of the issues of the nib. There's another factor that one has. I'm trying to figure out how to describe it. You see what I'm doing right now? Yeah, you like when I do that, don't you? You like when I slide my hands up and down the barrel. No, there's... Okay. Scratch that. Take two. When one has a pen in one's hand, one sometimes, as you stop writing and you're listening to someone talk and you're sort of drumming the pen on the paper, and then you get back to writing a note, your fingers might be over here, and then you move them up and down to get the pen back into the position you want it to be. I like pens that have as smooth a transition from the grip or the section of the pen and the cap of the pen. I don't like modern pens often have the section, threads, and then a big cliff bump to the barrel, because the pen caps made today tend to often have the cap and the barrel be the same thickness when it's capped. So you have this big cliff here. And this is big, and it doesn't necessarily, yes, it is fat. It's a fat distance. And then you put the pen on the back you post it, and there's this big cliff back there too. So if you're doing this, your finger trips over the cliff, and if it's a long pen, the cap bumps into this, and it's very clumsy and uncomfortable in my mind. So I tend to like a pen that has the least amount of variety between here and for this part of the pen and that part of the pen. I like the pen to be as smooth as possible. And that's just me. Maybe you like to have a big bump there. This is really hard to write with, though. You have to have your fingers there, right at the front. And then you get creases in your fingerprints because of this thing. Thoughts? Anyone else have any thoughts here? I remember Frank Dubiel, one of my pen buddies from long ago. He was a man of opinion, and occasionally there were factoids that had to do with his opinion. But he would say that Eversharp was ashamed of their levers at some point when the skyline was made, because the skyline would hide the lever almost entirely. Like, is that due to shame? Or the design of the pen? I don't think shame had anything to do with it. I think that's true, Louise. Louise just said many modern pens are made for passive beauty rather than beauty in function, the SD being a good example. I don't know the modern SD. I only know the vintage ones. So I just see that there's a crack in this glass. I should throw that out. I use that glass to clean pens rather than to drink from. Somewhere here I have vintage Esther books, but who knows where. I think almost all modern pens, if you look at them and the first thing you recognize is how shiny they are, or what colorful they are, or whatever they are, they probably have, in addition to being very bright, very colorful, they have probably big gold shiny bands or chrome bands or metal bands of some sort. And I bet you right now, do I have $1? Bet you $1, a nickel, a quarter. I see a quarter. I bet you this much right now that in 5 years' time, if not before, your shiny band on your pen will be corroded or worn down. And the pens that have shiny metal pieces right there, they will certainly be corroded. You know, the inside of your pen, ink is wet, humidity is wet, and you know, even if it's just warm or humid air that's in your cap and the pen doesn't have any ink in it at all, the humidity is going to start corroding the metal. So there you go. A huge pen is oddly popular with young female journalists. Okay, I'm not going to get anywhere near that comment with a 10-foot pole. I've already turned this into a dirty video. But men like it too. I don't know. Who else is in the room? Does anyone else want to add their 2 cents worth? I'm doing my laundry this morning, and according to my app for my laundry, they're all finished, which I don't believe, because they tend to go further than they say they do. And I go down there and then I have to wait in the lobby for 10 minutes for my things to get done, my delicate under things to get clean. And then I end up having to talk to my neighbors. I don't mind talking to my neighbors, except for a few. There are a couple of neighbors that, and they knew who they are, but they don't tend to follow me any on social media. I wish they wouldn't follow me into the lobby. There's one person in our building who does not have the ability to appreciate your private space. She will see you and she'll immediately start talking about random things or not so much random things. And if you don't walk away from her, she will continue to talk for an hour. So which is unfortunate, because you don't have anything to say to her, or you might not have anything to say to her. But she just loves to yammer on and on and on. And she tends to use our building's lobby as her living room. So she is almost always there. So you very often, and I tell my neighbors to do this too, take your phone out of your pocket and talk on it as if you are talking to someone on the phone. And I think she would probably not interrupt you if you're doing that. The problem is if there's someone in the lobby that you want to talk to, they won't interrupt you because you're talking on the phone at the same time. So she does make it very difficult. She's also very conservative and loves Donald J. Trump, and she was talking about that to me, and I let my opinions boil up to the top, and I gave her an earful, and I have a feeling that she will no longer ever speak to me again, which, worse things can happen. Well, she might be lonely. I think it's more of a mental disorder than it is a loneliness thing. If you read a transcript of her life, and if you listened, if there was a way to get the cliff notes of some of her conversations, she actually might be very interesting. But she doesn't edit herself. She doesn't let you talk. She also is very keen on telling other people the conversation she might have had with you or someone else. So I hear things from her. Oh, so-and-so has cancer and she doesn't want anyone to know, but I know you're a friend of hers, so therefore I'm telling you. Well, no, that is not appropriate. Someone confides in you and asks you to keep a secret. You keep a secret. There's no way around that. So anyway, Juicy has to feed her husband. Louise has to feed her husband. So I'll let Louise do that, and I have to feed the dryer for my laundry. So anyway, that was a little fun factor. Talk about the pens that you enjoy writing with, or if you understand the subtleties of balance and weight and length and shortness and thickness of a pen and have anything to add. If you also are one of these people that likes pens that have that big cliff that I described, that's between the section and the threads and the barrel, if you like this thing for some reason, let me know what that reason is. Maybe I'll learn to appreciate it, but I doubt it. But I'll try to appreciate it. If you tell me a way to like that aspect of a pen, I'm happy to do my best. Bye now.